So, session 49, here we are again. Welcome back. Welcome back. I have missed this. I have missed this more than anything else. Where had we left off?
19. Yeah, no more. Yeah. We did a mini side session, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
I asked you to write it down because I wouldn't forget to remember. Right.
And we covered off what had happened with Eliana and Caliburn. So do you want to do the recap from last session, and then I will do...
Okay, so our last session, we went to the edge of the... I can't read my writing.
Oh, the beige.
The beige, that's it, thank you. We went to the edge of the beige, and the edge of the beige was all blurry instead of the kind of crisp demarcation that there had been previously. And we were off to meet Crystal Fire to kind of keep him in a loop about what's been happening with Eliana. Everybody that we were kind of passing and interacting with was talking about the storm that's kind of in the air but hasn't kind of quite happened. When we arrived, we just found as well that the beige is receding because we met Crystal Fire at a bench that you'd met him at previously, and last time the beige was kind of right up to it, but now it's moved on. We were left there waiting for a while, and then the doorway opened and Crystal Fire came through, but he wasn't wearing his usual kind of outfit. He was wearing a duster and he had a sword and a sortier with him, and a baldric of crystals, not boulder of crystals, baldric of crystals. Hawk gives Crystal Fire an update about everything that we'd been up to with regards to looking for your sister, and you give him a slug of whiskey. Stowbold fills in Crystal Fire about everything that's been going on with Eliana and Caliburn. He suggests that we go and find a memory expert for Hawk's mind, Agamemnon Butler. Did I write that one down properly? Yeah, Agamemnon Butler. He's the best memory mage in the business.
Now we have to think, can we trust that information? And
then Crystal Fire turns into 19. Kelly throws the golden snitch Lamont configuration trap, but missed. But I used my change.
Just rewrite the story.
Yeah, that's it. And we caught him with it. I then performed the ambigram, which took the form of the Gunslinger's litany, and then Mia arrived and bang, several times underlined. It's very important. Yeah, no more 19. The real Crystal Fire appears and takes us to his abode, where it transpires that he had been attacked by 19. And Crystal Fire basically says that he uses a mirror to kind of keep tabs on everything, and it was by using the mirror that 19 was able to get to us. So Crystal Fire destroys the mirror to prevent it from being used again.
After hearing this back, does this mean that's how 19 had found us multiple times, or just this time?
This time, we think, because he happened to be in the house with the mirror there. So we can still talk to Crystal Fire with the charms, because that's a separate sort of thing. Yeah. But his kind of
appearing out of nowhere.
His appearing out of nowhere and knowing exactly where we are sort of thing is now sort of limited. And that is where we had ended.
And you got the Johnny cab, the handsome cab.
Yeah.
That's right. With
we're heading home because we've been up for a long time. I love your mix of lowercase and uppercase.
That is purely dyslexia.
Yeah.
I try and write uppercase as much as possible because I can read it. But if I'm trying to write quickly, I slip into cursive, and then I definitely can't read that.
Yeah, so like you said, the stuff that we were recommended to do. Can we trust them? No. Well, maybe.
I think we asked Crystal. Did we ask Crystal Fire if that was the name of the person to? We can put out our own inquiries.
Yeah, I think we did repeat everything. Or like, this is what we asked him. Yeah. What do you think? I've slept a lot since then.
I think it's probably one of those, the best lies are the ones that contain truth.
Yeah.
So actually, he was still probably telling us truthful things.
Yeah.
To trap us,
Yeah.
So the other scene that we did with Caliburn and Eliana, I think it was kind of meant to be a snowball scene, but it just didn't.
Well,
happen that way.
it was kind of a snowball scene because this is what Eliana told him.
Yeah.
And how it worked out that.
We kind of left it. I don't know if you recall that they'd both left the pub, and Hansy Dave said that there had been like raised voices. They'd had a bit of a. It was an argument, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was Caliburn back getting up because of various different reasons. She didn't know how to handle.
Well, no, because remember, right? So we worked on it in a different way. But this is what had happened: that they'd come back to each other and gone to bed and whatever they did in bed, and then they're kind of like cuddling post-coital, and do these guys know about Caliburn? Okay. Should we share that then?
Yeah.
Okay. So Caliburn. No, so Eliana goes. Oh, I forget the names.
Fenton and Glaive.
Who's Fenton and Glaive? And Caliburn's like, how do you know that name?
Oh, okay.
Like, and she's like, were you thinking about him? And he's like, those are my thoughts, they're my private thoughts, and you shouldn't be able to. People can't just read thoughts. And Caliburn didn't even feel the thought come in, and Eliana's got all these new powers now. She doesn't know how to, and it was just like surface thing. But Fenton and
it's a name we've heard before.
we have heard,
that
haven't we?
before.
Yeah. Forget what happened in order. This was back with Harlequin.
Yeah.
And
When we came out of Harlequin's mind.
Mm-hmm.
and Harlequin, Caliburn was indebted to Harlequin, wasn't he?
Yeah.
She, and the reason she was indebted was that she had had a baby and that something had happened. I can't remember. You tell me, I can't remember.
Okay. Caliburn's backstory is that she. Actually, that's part of that is giving away the denouement, which I had a scene planned for,
Okay.
like
So-
in many years' time. But effectively, it ties in with the reason why she does what she does.
Yeah, but it's
And-
incredibly secretive to her. She hasn't even told Ellie any
Yeah.
of that stuff.
But she always wants to be like a protective figure as much as she acts the rebel. She is very much a caregiver for various reasons, and where part of the reason why she was with Eliana is because Eliana is new to the world and she is not Visley, but she's not quite a non or a Zillat, so she's got this power. Partly she's.
And at the beginning of the relationship, she needed care,
Yeah.
basically. And so then that happened, and Caliburn just lots of things fall into her head at that time, and she just storms out. And Eliane just storms out as well because she's like, "Well, I'm me still. Why are you?" But she goes around a couple of different pubs.
Caliburn goes to several different bars, and the scene that we had was that she goes to all the places where she'd gotten righteously drunk beforehand, and she has like one or two drinks, and all of her like old drinking pass out drunk buddies were still there getting smashed, and she has like one or two drinks, and it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't hold its appeal for her.
And Eliana goes around for a bit, just kind of clearing her head, but then she comes to my house because that's where she had stayed originally, so she kind of felt safe there. And she comes to me.
She had an encounter with the mean streets as well. Did she?
No, I think that was one of the things we discussed.
Okay.
Pardon me. And yeah, so she comes to my house and we have a chat about things, and it's basically if Caliban really loves Eliana, she will accept her for who she is now. If she was only ever really a project, it's best that she's, you know. And then it's like, well, I love her, but I need to know how she feels. That's how I feel, and then it was this real kind of like dramatic scene when they meet outside the pub, but they're both coming from opposite ends of the street, and the rain's coming down.
No.
And there's like spotlights from the pub windows, and then they're like, "I love you."
Oh.
And then they go and have a chat upstairs. This is hay fever.
Yeah. I'm too strong stuff.
We're going to have a chat, and basically Eliana's like, look, this is who I am now, and I don't know what I can control and what I can't control. And, but I am stronger now, and I don't need looking after, but I still want you to look after me.
Yeah.
And Caliban's like, well, I love you for who you are, but I understand that I might feel threatened if you act, if you demonstrate big power, and I'll try not to, and I'll try to come back to it, but just understand that that's my natural reaction for a little while. So they kind of work things out, but it's still a bit like tender.
Tender.
Yeah, and that was all pre us going out.
First card is the Hunter.
Ooh.
It's all about the game and how you play it.
It's all about control. Will you make it?
It's all about getting mulberry and shovel.
Actually, no,
What?
it is about the game. The Hunter is not the normal meaning of the Hunter. The Hunter is actually the game.
Triple H.
Yeah. Maybe not
I'd be quite
literally
happy with that.
actual physical Triple H.
We get to the end of the Path of Suns, and there's Hunter on his throne with his sledgehammer and his berry and shovel, and behind him Shawn Michaels as the court jester. Oh no, the party's got X-Pac heat. How are we going to survive?
Oh. And so we have. We were going to do a downtime, weren't we? Just for the sort of week or so after.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
We were just going to go, what happens post
19
dying?
Yeah.
Roland looks happy, and for those of you that don't know, Roland Happy is this.
That is that bit from Men in Black 3. Now I know, unfortunately, I've just reminded you that Men in Black 3 is the scene that happened. Oh, it's not bad actually, but he goes, yeah, and Agent J, and he smiles like this.
I was thinking more of Black Dynamite. Oh, at least you could smile. I am smiling.
Or Adam's Family Values. You want to be married?
Terminator 2.
Yeah, so Roland is, for want of a better word, happy.
Mm.
Okay, the big question, how is Mia?
Mia is both horrified by the kind of weight and responsibility of doing what it is that Roland has done for who knows how long, but she's also kind of relieved and pleased that Roland has kind of let her in to share in that side of things instead of trying to kind of hide her away from it. has been a net positive.
Mm-hmm. And I think that whereas beforehand, at times, the connection between the pair of you was quite tenebrous. Like when she wasn't, it's that wizard's familiar that you only remember it when you need the ability.
Wait, you need to. What's over there? Oh, where's my crow?
Yeah. You can kind of feel, and you both feel that there's a much deeper connection between the.
Yeah, where I go, she goes, and it's almost at the point where if it were a case that I needed to summon her, I wouldn't need to consciously do it. She would just be there. But also, there's a feeling that that might happen in the inverse, that I might just suddenly disappear from where I am and end up wherever she is as well.
You are one.
Roland is kind of like a walking thinny, but only for. Where's the X card?
Oh,
Yeah, so Roland has kind of become a thinny, but only with regards to Mia. Speedy the hamster.
He's alright. He's still
Where
there.
the Herzog.
Not phased.
Hamsters are fickle pets. At least with goldfish, you can always see the goldfish.
Yeah.
They might not do anything. My dyslexia kicked in then, and I thought we had two O's. I was like, Oxo?
Okay.
I'll play the octo card. The O is
Oh, yes.
Oh yes. I want more of this.
Yes, Daddy. In fact,
Um,
sorry. As an aside, did you see that thing on Twitter when the all of the footage of the BLM movement and the right stuff, and somebody said, we really just need some like leather boys to turn up in their rubber suits and gimp masks, because nothing is going to disturb the police more than firing rubber bullets into the crowd and just have them charge out and go, yes, please, Daddy.
and the N is kind of just slow down a little bit. Whereas the X is a definite stop.
So to Spice Girls, I played the X. Or, how about no?
Ended with that you want more of it.
Sorry?
Which ended with that you want more of it.
But it started with no.
Anyway.
Hawk. How do you think Hawk would spend the next sort of immediate 24, 48?
I genuinely do think just making sure everyone else is okay, because we were as far as we could be at that point with the whole situation. Like we were saying, we were talking to Crystal Fire about things that we can do, but we're not sure actually, because it was 19 who said it is true. But having spoken to actual Crystal Fire, there's things, but it's a team effort. So if all of us aren't in the right headspace or need some time for whatever, then yeah, it's important. But as a whole, the rest of us need a moment. They need to take some time out, and she's fine with that. So just work in the pub, help him.
And Stogold?
I think like 19 was a threat, but he wasn't like, he was more against Roland and. You alright, guys?
Yeah, that's just Laura. Not good.
So my concern is, and always has been, more Eliana. So I think I'm probably going to go and visit Fred and see if he knows anybody that kind of like could help almost train Eliana. Like she's got these powers, but help her understand them a bit more, but in trusted circles, not some random somebody.
Okay.
I'll also pass like Agamemnon's name there and see if he
Okay.
recommends. And like say like, because I imagine Christopher has already told him, because they're like best buds, what's happened, and so we may like I've already got a good relationship with Fred, but it might be better and developing because we've done this.
Okay. So Fred is. Did we decide if he actually had an allotment?
No,
He's
you all know.
he's the
Totally needs a allotment.
he's the kind of person that if he's not at the club.
Why am I suddenly now thinking of Arthur Fowler?
No,
Yeah.
he's what's his face, isn't he? The
Good life.
Who'd-you-call-it?
no, not helping.
Thingy Bob.
Cake, layer cake. The Godfather type chap.
Michael Gambon.
Michael Gambon.
Yes, that's who he is.
Dumbledore,
Yeah, no,
but not Dumbledore.
exactly.
Fake Dumbledore.
Yes.
What,
Like-
Gandalf?
Like fake Diesel.
Oh.
Yeah,
Was that
so I'm not
Gallows?
sure.
No, that was fake Diesel was Mr. Jacobs.
That was it. And Gallows was fake Undertaker.
I think he's got an allotment, but he doesn't grow veg there. He's got like other dealings there, just I don't know, it's magic or something. I don't know. It's things that he shouldn't be doing, but he just basically just goes there to sit in a deck chair and read a paper.
It's like the ground is perfectly like prepared
Yeah,
for plants, but he never actually grows it.
yeah,
And there's always a slightly different excuse next time. Oh, we've got a bad case of weevils this week.
yeah.
Is it not his allotment, which is the Garden of Fucks?
That's what they go to grow.
Behold my garden, for it is barren.
So he
Roland is an itinerant ardent of the Order Goetica who turns memes into reality.
the meme caster. If I ever get to play Troika, I will be playing a meme caster. So he's sat there and he's got a yeah.
Excuse me.
If he's not Michael Gambon, then he's Bernard Cribbins from his run as Donna Noble's granddad from Doctor Who.
Yeah,
So yeah, but
I still think
Michael Gambon,
he's
yeah.
he's not like nice. He's not safe, granddad.
Yeah.
You know, he's got something a little bit edgy about him.
Yeah.
What?
So he's
Well, Cribbins is just like you
It's
trust
just too
him
nice, yeah.
implicitly, but Fred, you don't. He's like, he's nice, and you want to trust him, and he knows a lot, and he's very wise. But there's something there that just kind of makes you the hairs in your back of the neck go. Is everything not creepy? But is everything you're telling me honest? Are you playing a game that I'm not aware of, kind of thing?
he's the type of granddad that after he upsets you by beating you at drafts really badly,
Okay.
says, "Okay, I'll play you left-handed," and then lets you win the next game, and then you don't realise for 10 or 12 years what a. You see,
Because it's not a handicap in the slightest, is
Yeah.
it? It's just, yeah.
That's
the
such
kind of
an
thing
odd
you would
experience. So, do
do.
you want to tell us
no,
about?
it was on Twitter. It was
Oh.
just a thing.
You would do
I would do that.
Yeah.
that. Dave.
But that's because I'm a condescending douche.
Yeah, like
He's the
Fred.
kind of granddad that 1 in 10 Werthers has been replaced by an Army and Navy.
My
Or that
granddad
winter
hated
mix
those
stuff.
adverts because he's kind of like, no, my granddad didn't give me Werther's original because that would have been before the war.
Yeah, so he's kind of sat there and he's got like whatever passes for a thermos, just sat on an upended crate.
How does it know whether it's hot or cold?
They're not thermoses though. They're lobsters that keep things warm, and that comes just from the fact that when I was little, I thought lobster thermidor was something to do with a flask. So he's got a lobster.
Yeah.
It's a blue or a red lobster, because
Depending on.
That's how you know what's in it is hot or cold, because of the colour of the lobster, and you just decant from the lobster whatever delicious liquid it is.
Okay.
Like how lobsters communicate.
Yeah.
Which I discovered
don't
today.
look up how
No.
Like peeing at it. Yeah.
This is creepy. Love it. I was like, cool.
What's the difference between a lentil and a chickpea? I've had a lentil on my face. More did you steak?
Love it.
Yes, I approve. That's going to go into the rotation at work this week.
Yep. That's good to my friend Eric. He will love it.
Yeah. So he's kind of sat there and he's got this, and he's got one of those mugs that's never been washed. It's like a tin mug.
The best mugs.
And,
With
and
the
and
white one
inside,
with the blue rim.
yeah, and the tie bar of tea, and every so often there's like an oxo layer, and he's kind of sat there and he's just poured himself one, and the guest cup is like the most delicate, ethereal, translucent bone china that you can get, and it's
Pow.
yeah, and it's and it's so fine that you can almost see through it. It's that good, and it's in perfect condition. It's always perfectly clean. But his is this dingy.
Ken, your mug.
If you took a sample from the bottom of it, it would either kill or cure the entire world.
Yep, that's Dave's mug. Go ahead.
And he's sat there and he bids you to sit down, and he's
I've washed my mug.
Sometimes.
I mean, not this month, but
Sorry.
we're less than halfway through. That's fine.
my mug at work gets a weekly wash.
And he kind of bids you to sit down, and then you bounce backwards and forwards. Do you ask specifically about Agamemnon Butler? Because you were checking names?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He confirms that yes, he is he is a good memory mage. He's not cheap in any way, shape or form, and you normally need to try and book him because he only has very short life cycles.
We were told that, I think.
Is he a cicada?
Hmm?
Never mind.
Is it butterfly? Is it phoenix?
Is he a dragonfly?
No, he's Agamemnon Butler. I can't describe him. He's Agamemnon Butler.
With short life cycles.
Is he Kaiser Soze?
I don't actually know what guys this was.
Have you not seen The Usual Suspects? Ah. And that's a film that you're not allowed to watch anymore.
Isn't it? Oh,
It's Kevin Spacey.
okay. And so he confirms a lot of that information as being valid. He
Legit.
said, I don't know. He says, I don't know what that Dean was playing with. Crystal Fire let me know. I've given him a bit of a hand tidying his place up and putting the magic up there. Anyway, this young girl that you were talking about, Eliana, because the normal run of the matter is that if she is a weaver, then a weaver would train her, and if she was a goetic, then she would attend a goetic college, and if she was advanced, she'd attend university, and if she was a maker, she'd do whatever makers do.
What?
But you say, is she? I mean,
She's not any of these things that we're aware of.
Oh. Yeah.
Is she like Aang?
The
Is she
Last
the
Airbender.
last airbender? Is she an avatar? Is she the one that will learn all of the schools of magic and go...
Boom.
Why are you asking me?
Because she's your daughter.
Well, she's not my daughter, but well, maybe she could be like Dawn from Buffy, because she's come out of Grey, but nobody saw her go into Grey. She didn't seem to have a past before she went into Grey. She's come out of Grey because, and the reason she came out was I had a vow to help protect her from one of my platoon who had died in combat, and I didn't know whether she was visiting or not, but I needed to find out. And when somebody went to check on her, she kind of popped out quickly, didn't she? She didn't, like, it wasn't like normal Visley, but she definitely wasn't part of the grey part of the lie. So it almost feels like she was placed there to be brought out. I don't tell all this bit.
That's an appropriate moment in time.
Sorry?
That's appropriate moment in time.
Exactly. Hello? Yes.
Hey, Speedy.
Hey, buddy.
I've done my steps for the day.
5 miles a night they run.
And they're tiny.
Yeah.
So how many gazillions of hamster steps does that take?
Oh, that's 4.
Oh yeah, they do have 4 legs.
I think that multiplies it, not divides it. Each of those steps has still got to travel that distance.
More steps?
Yeah. It multiplies it.
Well, he says you could bring her along to when we next have a meeting, because Fred's in your Weaver circle, isn't he? You could bring her along when we next have a meeting, and then we can see if she's a Weaver.
I'm not coming to you as a Weaver, I'm coming to you as part of the Anisoptera.
Order Anisoptera.
Yeah. Because she was the 5th, because he knows everything Christopher knows, doesn't he? Because he came with a mask and things. So she's the 5th dragonfly for us. And I don't, because we know about this whole spell thing and that something big is coming, and I feel that she's part of it. But I don't, I want to help her prepare for what's coming. And I didn't know if there could be any unofficial channels that we can help her prepare through.
Okay. See, here's the thing: is your friend Roland is goetic, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think that you could teach him how to weave? Do you think that
I don't know how different these things are, to be honest.
Do you think
I could be taught how to make, yeah.
No, you can make items, but you couldn't make. And then when he says make, you can hear the capital M. And goetics, you can summon things with your magic, but you can't summon. And again, he says it with a capital S. And the way that Vances do their thing is different again, and the way that we weave is
This is
it's different again. You can only, it's only possible to be taught one way of magic by somebody who practices that way of magic. So if she wants training, or if she is to be trained, if she even wants training, then logic would dictate that you have to find out how she works magic in the first place.
Okay. We can have a chat with us. Like, it's our group and we have different elements behind us. And
Just doing what monsters do.
Tyrannical.
scratching and wicking and washing and things.
Excuse me.
Next
haven't had hiccups for ages, and after everybody was talking about hiccups earlier on, now I've got hiccups.
You've got to hold your breath and say purple, apparently.
No, hold
when
breath.
you-
Hold breath, and then when you let it out, you're going to say purple.
I'm going to pop to that.
Fluffer.
Prince and the Revolution. You said purple.
We live and die quite literally by time. It rules our actions, for we have no actions without it. We struggle to accomplish what we must by a certain time, or we face grim consequences. We eat, sleep, and even breathe measured by the movements of our clock. It is our master, it is our enemy.
Has it seen things that us people wouldn't believe?
Yeah, something like that.
Sorry, was this the demonic clock?
A tyrannical clock.
Tyrannical clock.
By the ticking of the clock, by the breaking of your bones, by the shrieking of the flock, the tyrant revels in the moans.
I think we've had that
Something,
before.
yeah, we have. Something good or ill approaches and everyone knows it. A repetitious action features prominently into important events. It is or soon will be a holiday or day of celebration. A young person with great potential comes of age. A prominent elderly person dies.
Oh, Roland's old.
Oh, what is he?
As old as the sand.
Oh.
Huh?
Healthy.
Doesn't know. You could try cutting his leg off and counting the rings.
Do the same sort of thing with teachers, just count the bags under their eyes.
Aww.
He's funny because he's true. So after, what, 2 days, I think, you all
You have to do
get back together at the Rose?
What was Hawk up to? Did I make a note for that? Did I completely
Yeah,
space?
she's just kind of
checking on
did a bit of
everybody else.
fact checking, making sure everybody else is okay, running the pub.
She's not been back to see Wap, Caplet and Sprong. Spong, not Sprong. Didn't they do snap your finger, snap your neck? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, 2 days later and back at the Rose. And I still do like the idea of Eliana just kind of just trying to get small little spells working.
Yeah.
And
No,
but she
lighting something.
look, but she can do them.
Yeah.
But Caliburn's got the apostate ability where she can just nullify level 1 and 2 spells.
Yeah.
So she's got the counter spell ability. So every time Eliane is doing like crazy clown makeup,
Zip it!
zip, zip it. I've had the thing. It's a bit like in Jack Attack where he just goes to hiccup, and by the end of it, Bob's got the mirror for the laser vision, and it's just mirror cookie fire extinguisher. And in Caliban, just kind of
Laser.
exasperatingly just going.
Yeah.
Caliban is auditioning for the Temptations.
Spoon's like, ooh, isn't it? You killed him.
It's a bloodhound gang joke. So we have so we have back at the Rose.
Everybody knows your name.
So, should we see? Right, two paths. We can either go down the how we help Eliana prepare for whatever's coming,
Mhm.
and like each other day or something, just helping her, trying to guess what kind of magic she is, and seeing if she can do the things we can do and showing her how we do them. Or we can go to Agamemnon and try to find his sister. What do we think?
Well, we're here now this evening. Why don't we get Eliana over and go around the table with a invisible, some kind of equivalent of a cantrip each, and just see if we can get her to do one. So I will try and get her to summon like a soot sprite or something like that, and so on, and just go and see what she can and can't do.
Cool.
And then in the morning, we can go and have a look for Mr. Butler.
Spider hands.
Gives a butler from Black Sabbath. When he's playing bass, his hands just like it looks like a spider going nuts.
Steve Harris picks to do triplets. Wimp!
And witnessing that for reals is just like.
Don't you think he's a butler that looks like Dougal from the Magic Roundabout?
Oh, shush.
He does. Absolutely love him.
Okay. So we get to do some cantrips.
Yeah. So she kind of comes over and you're sat at the table and she's done the whole trick of knowing what you're going to order before you order it.
I gesture for her to sort of sit down.
She Rikers a chair.
I can't take her seriously now.
And
If it's an armchair.
Like a little stucco jam, but a butt hanging
The thing I
in the
love
thing.
about that is
Like,
his explanation is that he did it once because he thought it would be funny, but nobody noticed, and so he just kept doing it. And he was deliberately trying to make it as over the top as he could, and everybody's like, "No, that's fine." And by the time they figured out what was going on, it's like, it's established now, it's fine.
That's what Riker does.
I'm surprised we didn't see him Riker anything in Picard. You know, like the entire picnic bench.
No, you don't do.
Riker's the Federation's hurdle champion.
yeah, so she
Set Eliana down. I take some salt from the table from either tequila or from when we serve the kind of breakfast food and whatever, and I draw a little kind of circle on the table, and
I think maybe I first explained to her what we're doing.
no,
No?
because we don't want to bias the test.
Alright then.
We just want to kind of
Okay.
go in, I think.
car
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking.
catapult.
Sidekick. Oh, I love that film. That's on Disney Plus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, legend.
I can't look after what we I'm not Wonder Woman.
I'm not made of eyes. Yeah, I draw a little kind of like circle on the table, and I kind of pierce her with the kind of like 1,000-yard stare, and I tell her that I want her to summon a sprite into that circle. So that's a no.
Did you not learn how you do what you do?
It's a
You're joking.
It's an intuition.
Yeah, but it has to be
things-
trained though.
the-
Could you do that straight away?
The thing that you have to learn is how to make the symbols and how to do the colloquy
Colloquy, yeah.
with the demon or creature that you summon. Actually getting the creature here is kind of, you know, how do you sneeze? How do you know to sneeze?
Okay.
The learning.
So with children, they're just summoning demons all over the shop because there's nothing safe for them to do it with?
They're not powerful enough.
Okay.
That's why I'm thinking beyond sprite.
But they would be summoning sprites everywhere if children would be doing this. Okay.
They're that little friend, that invisible friend that you.
When they say that they've got an invisible friend, sometimes it's a little soot sprite. That's a little soot sprite. Not cat bus.
Or cousin.
Somebody summoned a cat bus once. We still occasionally miss him. I kind of give a few sort of like coaching tips just to see if that sort of helps. You must unlearn what you have learned. No different, only different in your mind. Just think of the name. That's all that matters. And I give the name of like a little kind of spritey thing, and sort of say it's just about you're exerting your will on that thing, but at the same time you're acquiescing to the. I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it. My brain's not working.
Read in the wind.
Yeah.
And you give her a name of a.
Yeah, just you know, tiny little soot sprite, and so it's you know, partially you are commanding it, but partially you're just receiving and letting it.
And she kind of looks down and she just whispers, and she whispers the name that you gave her.
Mm-hmm.
But when she says it, it's as if 100,000 people in a football pitch are all saying it at the same time. And then from the corners, from all of the corners in this pub, bearing in mind the Rose is quite traditional spit and sawdust, quite dusty pub, all of the dust conglomerates.
That I was not expecting.
And then
So I kind of was. I was like, whatever we go to do some more, she's a prick.
you have summoned us.
Not just one soot sprite.
And I kind of coach her through a kind of colloquy and kind of, you know, thank them for coming. And as they are the lowest thing, I'm just going to kind of coach her through how to do a colloquy for a council, and something really innocuous and not kind of you know, kind of like taxing or jeopardizing. So just sort of like, how busy has this place been while we've been away? So something really simple like that the dust will kind of no, even better, because we're going to play a comedy angle for it. Hansy Dave says that he dusts this place every day. How long's it been since Hansy Dave has come and dusted you guys?
Are you asking that, or are you getting?
I'm getting Eliana to do
ask
that.
The question. You have called us here for this reason. We have not been summoned by name for years in this place. And this thing kind of raises itself up, and it's a rough kind of humanoid. If you imagine, if you literally scrape all of the dust bunnies out from the back of your computer and from underneath the sofa and it is absolutely.
It's ruby glue. Actual dust bunnies that would follow around.
And these things are kind of like conglomerating into a giant form, and it kind of stands up to make itself look more impressive, but obviously that stretches the material out a little bit, so it goes a little bit translucent. It says, "We have been called by name when you," and it points at Eliana, and she's just kind of sat there going, "When you asked for one of our number, how is this possible?" And she stands up. The Messiah. And she stands, and she very quickly. Who else is in the pub?
Yeah.
No. Who else is in the pub? Not the three of you and Eliana.
Oh,
Who else is in there?
Andy David, Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls is in the back.
a couple of locals.
Yeah.
Norm,
Oh.
Carl, Barney,
And Jerry.
Gorm, or Gorn, whatever his name was.
Morn.
That's it.
Yeah.
Who else?
What time is it?
9:30.
No, not really in the game.
Oh,
9:30.
Okay.
sorry for trying to be helpful.
I think that will judge how many people are there, is what I mean.
Well, if it was
I
my pub
reckon
that I've
it's-
worked in, there'll be people in there at 10.
Yeah, but I reckon it's like the morning type of thing.
Yeah.
We're meeting in the morning. So it's
No,
about 10.
it was the evening, because tomorrow morning we're going to see
Oh, yes.
thingy. So yeah, it's
So actually
Okay.
quite a few people then.
Yeah.
Probably about 15, 20 people.
Okay. So she stands up in response to this challenge. And she says, "Can I borrow a phone for internet search, please?"
Got your hand there?
Actually, I don't need to see what the search history is.
Somebody else is going to see. That doesn't matter, apparently. You can do any kind
Yeah,
of
you
do
can see
it.
mine. Nothing. Boring stuff like car washes and
That's fine.
trash.
Don't want to hear what my searching history
Fine.
is.
No, I don't want to, because I was going to delete it from.
Alright.
Is it something that we get to see that
No.
Charlie doesn't?
I can't. No, I
Well,
can't.
it's not been that long since you were. No, I know exactly how you feel, because every time they kind of go, "Oh, you've done this job before, so go back to doing this job," and it's something that we haven't done for like 2 or 3 months, and we're all looking at each other going,
So it would be if that's like, I've not done the main job role for 2 years. What are you talking about?
everybody's pulling the Gandalf face. I have no memory of this place.
But you taught it. That's the one I got back because I did the training. You taught it. Surely you should know. It's like, I know the theory, but I don't know how to do it. And so that's what I'm having been slowly learning. It's not the same to teach it as to do. Surely if you should know how our trainers work, they don't do the job, they don't know how it works, they just know that that's what they have to teach you. And that's what I knew,
Trainers work by being on your feet.
There's sport shoes.
Academically running is good.
Them sport shoes. Sport shoes. He's so little and fluffy and white. I love his little
I don't
massive.
normally do this when he wakes up in the morning.
Yeah.
Never
Just-
mind.
I
Never
don't know.
mind.
Half sleeping and then he keeps like scratching himself with his teeth. I don't know. Please.
That is hamster behaviour. They are not as interesting as you think they would be. He is a little skittish. I was just blowing on his back and he's like, "Ooh."
Wonderful.
It's under the
Yeah, it's
finger skill, which I don't use
picking,
because
picking Americans.
it's too sensitive. So I'm like, yeah.
And she stands up and she says, "I do this because," and she says, "I do this because I am," and when she says "I am," again, it's 10,000 voices saying it all at the same time.
Biblical.
That's some Chewy allegory. Can a different goetic dismiss something that another goetic has kind of summoned?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Does Eliana seem like she's in any danger at the moment?
No.
Because this is
This thing kind of shrinks back down. Quite a bit.
Because when she's like, "I am," it obviously
Is
is
it
something. It's
kind of
okay.
like that whole bit in Fellowship of the Ring with Galadriel when she goes, and in place of a Dark Lord you would have a queen. Boom! Monochrome,
Yeah.
everything's gone negative.
And all would look upon me and love me and despair.
All shall love me and despair. Terrible and beautiful as the sun, treacherous as the sea, all will love me and despair. Tolkien was such a good writer though, wasn't he?
No. My name is Feanor. It means spirit of fire. It determines why I do what I do. What's this? Treebeard. He's a tree with a beard.
Yep.
Yes.
Here's this absolutely fantastically well detailed map, which has got, there's origins of the names of all the places. Also, Mount Doom.
Because sometimes you just have to have a basic moment.
The thing is, though, what I like about that is it shows how the thing changed in all of the drafts, because all of the silly names were back when it was still just a silly children's novel, until he realised that The Hobbit was part of his great big epic that he was writing, and he realised that The Lord of the Rings was also part of that great big epic. And that's one of the things that I think is really, really fascinating about it. Although, the one thing I will say about Tolkien is Tom Bombadil is an annoying twat, and his boots are yellow.
I do quite like those films because it took an unreadable book and made it watchable.
Every year, without
I
fail.
read The
you
Lord of
will
the Rings
read all of
every year.
those.
Every September, at the end of September, it comes back out for reading. I didn't want to
You
read
not
it.
like the sand?
Oh no, he's not gone anywhere.
Or he will do. He'll spend playing it when he's got
So
no more
he,
Back
back.
in when he's a bit more active.
He's got no more watching.
It'll sound a bit different to me.
So yeah, this thing kind of shrinks back down again, and it kind of like leans in close to Eliana, and it whispers something, and then she smiles, and then it sort of dissipates, but leaving the pub quite clean.
Roland
Oh,
looks
we only knew
alarmed.
that's what it
And if
took.
you've not seen it, this is Roland looking alarmed.
Just a slight eyebrow raise.
Just a slight eyebrow raise. That concludes my part of the kind of round robin.
Should we ask what? How did it tell you?
Hmm?
What did it say to you?
Handsy Dave doesn't dust the pub.
Which we'd kind of surmised. But
Hawk's just like, Dave.
I
That raise you were asking for.
quite formally now tap my throat 3 times and thank you, Si. And I gesture for whoever's next in the Russian roulette of let's see what's going to happen now.
Kind of concerned. But
It's like any flavour beans from Harry Potter. Anthrax.
I was just going to get her to make a cough drop from stuff that I'd got. Like the sugar, the salt, honey, and some liquid silver, which is your antibacterial. Because I'm an apothecary.
No, that's fine. Just all of a sudden in my head, I've just got, and there's going to be anti-vaxxers that are actually going to be taking that.
I had this liquid silver to me is just about vampire killing. I'm like, so you want to cure vampire coughs? What's that? You just shoot them.
Basically, yeah, on a dish there's those things, and my is to bring these together to make it maybe what it can be a few just simple cough drops. That's the most basic thing that I could think that you could do, and just think it into existence from what's there. That's what I do.
Has she been around you when she's seen you
Yes,
making
she was there when I did the
orb thing?
And what else was she around for? It's like you've had them, you know what they should be like. It's
She ends up making halls instead of lockets.
yeah, basically not a chew, not
She's
not a
Pepsi.
chewy middle.
I said
but
Sprite.
I wanted 7-Up.
Sorry. Is that the extent you could do on it? I turned this Pepsi into Coke.
Say my name, Mr. Beefy. And thank you. Oh, I love Mr. Beefy. Oh, now I'm sad because I'm almost certain that dog's going to be dead now.
Yeah, probably. Oh.
Okay. Empty gallows.
No,
What's come up now?
the empty gallows.
So she sat looking at this kind of little tray of smorgasbord of ingredients.
And...
Play bit of crepe? No.
Lints and a blend.
I can't see that scene without thinking of the Crunchyroll and pick a hole. Hulu and snoo snoo. Netflix and chill. Well, there is no pleasing you. And so she's looking at
Hulu and snoo snoo.
That's it, he's gone.
you have to pause the camera for a brief moment.
Oh, okay.
HBO and Blow. Amazon Prime and Sexy Time.
Oh,
And unfortunately, the meme was put together before Disney Plus was a thing. But so,
No, because the other one I could think of immediately was Disney Plus and Krampus. Disney Plus and Krampus.
so she takes the salt that was left over from the summoning circle that Roland had made, and they're just the tiniest specks of soot that are on there. And she's looking at this, and then she's kind of picking bits, and she starts working, and she's picking bits from this tray. So what did you give? You gave liquid silver, and you gave
honey, salt and sugar.
honey, salt and sugar. And she's sort of binding these together, and it's kind of, it starts off and she's like going one little bit and she's kind of moulding them in her hands, and then she picks up another bit and flicks it, picks up another bit and flicks it in, and it's just one of those ones where you can't see what she's doing, like watching a Rubik's Cube expert. But something's coming up, and the liquid silver's being sort of bound into it, and she's kind of getting faster and faster, and the look on her face is just getting more and more and more intense. And then she just says, I need a power source, quickly. Something bigger. Promise me something, anything.
What have I got? Searching through your pocket, searching through
No,
your
just promise me
pockets.
something, I can use it.
I promise you.
Yes.
I'll always try to protect you.
And she kind of reaches out and she takes that promise and she builds it in. The promise is that you can use it as a power source.
I have got mantis as a power source, so you know.
And then she builds it, and then it stops, and then there's a flash, and then like a single, almost perfect sphere, like a lattice of the crystalline salt and sugar, that's bound with flowing liquid silver. Did that work?
Has she just made a philosopher's stone?
Like, Hawk is in awe.
Enhance.
It's like,
What have you made, Eliana?
I
yeah.
think it can bring somebody back from the brink of death.
It's philosopher's stone.
Back up, sweet.
It's a phoenix down.
Um,
Can you identify it with your...
yeah, I've got level 4 identifying materials.
Mm-hmm.
Can I check to see whether I know? I'll use it. Intellect Benny as well. 9.
Yeah, she has made something that,
I've taken it,
yeah,
and I'm like,
and as you kind of peer at it and examine it, if this can bring somebody back from the ultimate brink of death, it can't reverse death, but if somebody is literally on the way out,
Only
I know,
mostly dead.
it is a
no,
miracle max miracle pill. Chocolate coating makes it go down easy.
as we know, I've spent,
She just made your perfect drug.
no, that's it. I've spent years trying to figure this out. And I look at it and I know now.
How simple it is.
I didn't know I should have taken the left at Albuquerque.
I'm keeping this. And just puts
I'm
it
taking
in the
this.
pocket. And I'm like, that's another one down. Snowball.
We look expectedly snowballed. Roland definitely doesn't get a blue magic marker and start drawing a blue arrow on Elena's forehead.
And she needs a total, like, what, the fluffy thing that Anne wrote.
Do you know what? I haven't really watched a great deal of Avatar, which I think
started
should
watching
probably
it
change.
during thingy, but I got like 4 episodes in and then stuff happened.
This flying monkey thing's called Momo, I think.
Yeah.
Appa.
Appa.
Is the flying
Appa is
buffalo.
the flying buffalo. Avatar is awesome. Love it.
It's meant to be a really good cartoon.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
We started watching She-Ra and Princess of Power.
Excuse me.
So what's that?
Isabel with a balloon.
I don't know. Because anything. Right, first of all, there's an issue about weaving. I don't know what
Excuse me.
concepts. I have a set of concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what concepts you may know or think about. And with weavers, you kind of learn concepts, don't you? It's not something you could do as a child. You would have to learn a concept before being able to weave it together.
I'm getting the feeling that's not going to be an issue for any.
No, I know, but we don't know. I mean, I'm kind of guessing she'll won't be able to do what I ask her to do, but will do so much more than I've asked her to do. Therein lies the problem, because whatever I ask has got to be within the realms of safety. So I don't want to ask her to, weave fire and rock together and make some lava, and all of a sudden we've got a volcano in the rose. And
You want volcanoes? That's how you get volcanoes.
We've already got a walking volcano in the room, so we're going to be fine.
you get the point. So,
Can you weave like, no.
Oh, we've got.
Oh, that's not good.
I think we killed Ross.
That is so much like Jack
Muttering.
Nicholson's Joker laugh.
You're muttering.
You alright?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I don't even know.
Bit meta. Don't know how this
Mhm.
work. Illuminate mysteries or illuminate understanding. See if she can understand what's happening to herself.
That's very cool, but I foresee a problem where she's going to suddenly become all-knowing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Skynet's become self-aware and has realised that we're the problem.
It's like Ellie's character dream walking and trying to tell our NPC what's going on in his journal that she had, and then has changed the entire timeline of everything. Like, you should have done that, should you? No. Because you didn't tell us you were doing it. No. Now you brought Darkspawn upon us. Yes.
Do you want Darkspawn? Because that's how you
That's
get
how
Darkspawn.
you get Darkspawn. You had to. Oh.
That's it, Speedy. You go for it. You be a buff hamster. It's in The Simpsons, wasn't it?
You need to.
What was
Yeah.
it? Family Guy, just a ridiculously
You just
buff
totally need
hamster.
to set up like a little. I can't remember what it's called. But generate electricity from it.
Dynamite.
That's the one. Comfortable. Mine always used to just do that and then go.
So, when you've seen Astraeus weaving, you can kind of tell when he's pulling threads in, but you can't see what threads he's pulling. What do you?
What threads do I have?
Yeah.
Challenge, blood, the mountain, and fire.
Okay. So you can you just have or a challenge, please?
You should totally hook a mic up to the hamster wheel. You should sample that.
Yeah.
That noise will haunt you for the rest of your life.
Can't hear it in the bedroom, but when you come out into the hall.
So you see, she
Hello, buddy. Hello, sweetie.
Ooh, she felt something walked over a grave. Was it you?
No, because I'm alive. I'm good.
Huh?
What's up? What is
That little hammy butt. Little tail.
Oh, yes.
Hammy butts. How to say the
Think
best
these-
tails.
I should video this for us.
I thought corgis had the best butts.
Well, corgis do have the best butts because they look like hearts. But that's only if they're Pembroke ones because they've got the tiny tails.
Well, where this kind of thing, when we were talking about vampires earlier on, it just made me remember a thing I saw the other day. Do you know what happened when a vampire bit Superman? It exploded because Superman is solar powered. Bite, bite, bite. Concentrated sunlight. Boom. Superman's a plant. Photosynthesizes.
How does it know? Who taught it? That's what he's got to do.
You look much cleaner now.
It does. It doesn't look so greasy. Greasy. It looks all fluffy again. Oh, you
I think it should be deeper.
I don't know, because they tend to just
You
like
sent
push
me
it
Morse
over
code.
themselves.
Sorry.
So, and you can see her pulling in from challenge because you can recognise the aggregates that you've got access to yourself, and you can see her pulling in like 3 other threads, so she's like weaving 4 together,
Which is quite a something.
which is quite a something.
Mm-hmm.
And she stands, and again she speaks a single word, and again she says the word I am, and then a voice as if 10,000 people in a football field all say it at the same time. The inevitable cataclysm.
She is the Alpha and the Omega.
And on that note, we can leave it.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. First session back then, guys.
Yeah, yes.
Yours.
Yes.
So, summaries. Roland?
I'm saying overall, Roland is quite pleased
I am going to give you all 1 despair
for the.
for the sheer fact that Eliana has pretty much just shown you up. Not shown you up.
No, she's discovered one thing I've been.
Yeah.
She is the avatar. But she
My
is the
entire
key.
life's work
key
has now
Sarah.
been done. Now I've just got to figure
Why
out how to
can't I
reverse
ever
engineer
pronounce
this.
that word? Kwisatz Haderach. There we go. Yeah. She's Paul Atreides.
Not in there. Shall we?
If she starts reciting a litany about fear being the mind killer, then I'm just taking my 6 guns and shooting myself in the head.
Yeah, so. And
despair for that. I was going to say 1 joy overall because of how things are with me and Mia. They
Yep.
are pretty sweet.
Yep.
And Roland is just pleased that 19 isn't there no more.
No more.
I'm walking on
Any
sunshine.
progress along your arcs?
Do that to me.
No. But I'm wondering what Eliana's got to do with the rose now that this change is kind of coming to light. Pencil. In your computer, my Bob.
Hawk.
1 joy because she's like. 1 despair because oh my god, my life work's been done. But 1 joy because now I can figure out how she did it and create it. Yeah.
Work it backwards.
Work it backwards. That's no longer my journey, but
Dun, dun, dun. It's like Jurassic Park. You're reverse engineering the dinosaurs. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
And any progress along arcs?
I don't know. Isn't your arc to make a
Not
perfect thing?
anymore, not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's one actually.
Rewrite. Yeah.
You've had a mulligan.
And stubble.
2 to spare. So 1 to spare from what you gave me, and another one I think is well, let's go into the same one because she's my ward and I'm scared for her and her future and stuff like that.
I'm not particularly scared for her at the moment. I think I'm scared of her a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I'm scared for her because great strength, great responsibility with all that
Great
power.
strength becomes a big target on that.
Yeah.
Basically.
You
And
guys
there's
want to keep all of your stuff?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
Where did I put my folded meal?
In the back of the bag?
There's a piece of folded paper.
Oh no, the actual my little plastic wallet.
And no progression on my arts.
Okay.
Although I might add another arc
Okay.
because she's still my ward. I still want to look after. I want to help her with this journey kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to you about that later.
The wings. Well, thank you so much, people.
Thank you. Oh, it is so nice to be back together.
Yes.
We're getting the band back together.
Probably put it back in my bag, being everything.